What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Keep It Kula Podcast. My name is Jaclyn Kula. Welcome to your, got Cousin Owen on. Lots to talk about with Cousin Owen. We have huge Blue Jays news or potential news that we want to talk about soon. But to begin, we got to talk about some football because our New York Giants are finalizing a deal with head coach John Harbaugh. How we feeling, Owen?
Yeah, Jaclyn, I said to you right before we started, I had to give you your props right off the bat. I mean, I remember in the last podcast you had said something about, him being fired, coming to the Giants, and I basically told you were crazy. Jaclyn, you were right on the money. I can't believe it. They missed the field goal. Harbaugh's fired literally the next day. A bunch of teams wanted him, one of the great coaches of all time, and why not New York, right? One of the best franchises. We got a young, great quarterback, great young receiver, good defensive line, good. We have a lot of good pieces that he can bring together and make us into a winning team. So, Jaclyn, I got to just give you a little golf clap here because you completely called that. And if people didn't watch our last podcast, go watch it and you'll hear cousin Jaclyn predict John Harbaugh to the New York Giants.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, listen, I had a feeling. I'm not an NFL insider. I don't have those connections. I just felt it that the Ravens were going to move on because Harbaugh's a great coach. But whatever's been going with Lamar Jackson, because he's a fantastic talent and they have so much talent on that team, the system just isn't right anymore, and that's okay. So now Harbaugh has to choose. First of all, he's fired, and now he has tons of teams that need a new head coach. And the Giants, I said it right away, like, they're the most attractive team. Jackson Dart is such a young and exciting talent that really needs a coach like Harbaugh. Right? You have Cam Skattebo, who could honestly be the most exciting running back ever, even though we only got to see him for a couple of games with the Giants. Malik Neighbors, like that core three on offense alone. Who doesn't want to coach that team? And we also have the 5th pick overall in the draft, and we have a fantastic defense. Harbaugh gets to run this team the way he wants to run in a market like New York. No, I don't think there was a better choice for him. He gets to do what he wants to do. He gets to he can bring his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, you name it. He can do what he wants with this core. Great move for both Harbaugh and for New York, obviously.
I completely agree, Jaclyn. I'll correct you on a couple of things there. I mean, most of the stuff I agree with you, and you have the magic touch right now, so it's hard to disagree with you. But I don't know if our defense is fantastic. I would say we actually have a poor defense. I think we have a very good defensive line that underperformed. So I think with a great coach, that defensive line has 4 or 5 studs on it. Like, we can go through the guys individually if you want, but we've talked about them all year, right? There's a bunch of great guys on that defensive line. I actually think our cornerbacks and safeties, could be stronger. I mean, we have a draft coming up, so we can definitely strengthen the defense. And the truth is, a lot of defense, I don't want to say it's plug and place, but you really can. You make a little trade here, a draft pick here, right? So I think he can clean that up pretty quickly. And obviously, we know we have pieces on offense. So I'm excited. Like, I was talking earlier with a friend, and they were like, look, Harbaugh could probably bring you guys to at least 7-8 wins next year. And then in the future, like, you're talking playoffs, right? Like, if you get Dart another year in the league, maybe he goes through some of those, sophomore struggles, you win 7-8 games, and then we're 3-4 years in. Man, I'm thinking like playoffs. I'm thinking like we're making deep runs here, right? We got a good, young, exciting team. This is the best thing that could happen for the Giants, for Giants fans, for the city of New York. Jaclyn, I am pumped. We got our Ole Miss quarterback. We got another amazing Hall of Fame coach. We got in my opinion, maybe the best receiver in the NFL. I know that might sound crazy, but to me, he might be pound for pound number one. We got an absolute truck in the running back position. And we got some defensive linemen that are willing to take your head off. They will take a quarterback's head off. Yeah. So, Jaclyn, I'm excited. I am thrilled.
Super pumped. Obviously, nothing's been made official yet, but it's like they're just finalizing the deal. I think they're just going through logistics and price and how many years or whatever that, no, not years, but you know what I mean? Like, I think they're just going through logistics that aren't really important, but based on what all the NFL insiders and reliable sources, like, I'm not just getting this because of a Twitter feed. I'm getting this from the top Adam Schefter, Ian Rappaport, the top guys of the league are saying that this is pretty much a done deal. They're just finalizing it. So Harbaugh will be the next coach of the Giants. Something that was shocking that happened, what was it, yesterday, or was it the day before? Mike Tomlin has stepped down Steelers coaching job. Originally, I thought it said fired, and I texted you, being like, Tomlin's fired. You're like, no, 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 he stepped down. Do you see Tomlin going into coaching right away, or you think, because I'm seeing a lot of insiders think that he's gonna kind of do like a Sean Payton thing, where like he takes a year off, does a little bit of media,
Sure.
and learn different cores of teams, and then kind of have his choosing in the next year.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of stuff I'm seeing, Jaclyn. I'm seeing a lot of stuff about him being in the media, him doing TV like a Brady or whatever for a year, and then kind of regrouping. There's a few things about Tomlin, right? One of the all-time regular season great coaches. I believe he has one Super Bowl win. So I know
Yeah.
for you, Jaclyn, you think he's like one of the greatest ever. I mean, and he is one of the greatest ever. But I don't know if the resume is there of like the all-time greats. He only has one Super Bowl ring, which is fine. If you're a head coach, one is enough to kind of, I don't know, give you mystique, give you power, give you someone who's in command.
Yeah.
So he's a great coach. For sure, regular season, one of the greatest coaches ever. A lot of stuff I'm seeing, Jaclyn, is like a lot of people think he's too old school, right? Like a lot of his schemes I've been reading on defense specifically are predictable, right? He does the same old stuff. He's not really of the new age, the way the McVays of the world are thinking, even a
Yeah.
Harbaugh, right? So I'm seeing a lot of that stuff where people are saying he's kind of too old school to
Yeah.
work in this NFL. I think the biggest thing about a Mike Tomlin that works is he's a great leader amongst men. I think more than even obviously he's a football mind. We're not going to disrespect the guy, the greatest regular season coach ever, or a top 5 regular season coach ever, right? And still, he has a Super Bowl, so he's still a winner, of course. I just think like when you think of Tomlin, you think of a great leader, right? Like he really gets his guys going. You can't be in one city for 20 years and not command the respect of the room, right? You see coaches who lose the room after a year or two, right? So I think he's a great leader more than anything else. And I think he brings a lot of knowledge with him. If I had my crystal ball, I'd say he goes into TV for 1 or 2 years, and then after a year or two, he gets the itch, and he ends up in like maybe New Orleans. New Orleans is a disaster; it's a dumpster fire, but still a cool city to play in. I could see him being a coach, maybe in New Orleans, maybe at Dallas Cowboys. I could see him in one of those cities in a year or two, maybe. I don't know. You never know.
Yeah, listen, it's not a crazy take, and yeah, Tomlin is very old school. Listen, he had to work with Roethlisberger for his career pretty much, and he's a fantastic quarterback, right? He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. He had some great weapons on that team, and he struggled with having to play certain players like a Kenny Pickett, an old man Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. But I do understand what you mean by old school. So I think the smart choice for him would be take a year, figure out what you want to do, figure out the systems of what football is, take yourself out of the actual game for the first time in 20 seasons, and figure out what you want to do with that, and then continue coaching. I think he's still has so much to give to football. I think he's, yeah, the greatest regular season coach of all time. Like I know my take is he's the greatest coach of all time, and there's still reasons why I believe he is, but the main reason is because of what he's done every regular season. So, but come playoff time, it hasn't worked. So, 1 year off, come back. I think he'll be the best coach in the NFL. I think he will lead whatever team it is to a playoff win after 1 year off to really reset what football is rather than what it was in 2008.
I also want to point out, and he doesn't get enough credit for this. Maybe would have been the greatest receiver of all time. Still a great receiver. Still maybe a Hall of Famer, and still like a guy who truly was special. That played with Ben Roethlisberger and Antonio Brown. You probably know where I'm going with this. I don't know if Mike Tomlin gets enough credit for keeping that guy in check. Now, granted, we don't know this, and I'm not trying to make fun of this. I wouldn't make fun of this. I don't think it's funny. A lot of people think Antonio Brown has CTE. There's some serious mental health issues, so I would never make fun of that. My only point being is Tomlin very much kept him in check. When he was there with Ben Roethlisberger and Mike Tomlin, he was relatively quiet. Now, my point about bringing up the CTE and the mental health is maybe he didn't affect him earlier in his career, right? So when he was with Pittsburgh, he was a little bit younger, less injuries, less concussions. I don't know if he was dealing with the same trauma. Still saying that, we can see the guy has a very explosive personality. So let's give Mike Tomlin a ton
Yeah.
of credit for also keeping guys in check. It's the same thing with a guy like Belichick for the most part too, right? These great coaches
Yeah.
keep these divas in check. They make them so that they can perform on Sundays and that they don't have these outbursts, right? That's what I find with really great coaches is you have these players that have big personalities, but the coaches are able to keep them in check. And you see when they go to other teams, it doesn't work, right? These coaches can't control some of these guys who are divas or have these issues. So I want to give Tomlin a lot of
Yeah.
credit for that, for keeping Antonio Brown in check and making him such a great player.
100% agreed, because Tomlin, to your point exactly there with Brown, but also Tomlin is the one who told the team that he's leaving. And apparently, I think it was Schrager who reported this, or someone, the entire team stood up and gave him a standing ovation for what he has not only done for them in that season, because clearly he made an impact if they're all standing up, even the rookies, but what he's always done. And that's being a true leader. And I think being a real figure of leadership and a mentor to everybody. He doesn't deal with crap. He's not dealing with any of that. He runs a very strict football team, but he's probably honestly, I would probably say the most respected coach in the NFL. I would consider him the most respected coach in the NFL because, as you said, he kept a guy like Antonio Brown in check. Listen, the DK Metcalf punching thing, I guess he didn't keep in check to begin with. Maybe that could have been, saw Metcalf was heated before. Maybe there's something he could have done. But still, Tomlin deserves all the flowers for that, for what he's done.
For sure, one of the most beloved and great coaches in NFL history. I also want to make a point, Jaclyn, I think that plays into what you just said about DK, and is a really, really good point, and can maybe give us a little bit into Tomlin's psyche. Tomlin might be thinking, hey, we're in 2026. I'm not getting any younger. He's not an old coach, but he's not getting younger, of course. He might be thinking 5 years ago that doesn't happen, right? Like, that might be exactly what he's thinking. He might be thinking, I've dealt with the Roethlisbergers. I've dealt with Antonio Brown. I've dealt with different people. I've dealt with Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell, very explosive guy, right? And I kept all these guys in check. He might be thinking, that DK Metcalf moment does not happen 5 years ago, and that is another reason I have to step down. That could totally be in Tom's. I'm not saying that's the reason, but he could be sitting there and going, man, like, when I really had control and I felt at my best, I would never have a player do that. It just wouldn't have happened, right? So that could have been something that definitely played in his head of being like, you know what, it's time to cut the cord and start something new.
Definitely. And, speaking of the Steelers team, they lost in the wild card. That's why he stepped down. They got blown out by the Texans. First of all, greatest wild card weekend I think we've had in at least 10 years. I can't remember a more fun wild card I've ever watched, other than like the Patriots. Like, obviously the Patriots-Chargers game was a snooze, and then the Steelers-Texans. Other than that, every game was fantastic. Was that the last time we're ever going to see Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers is not a young guy, right? He was getting killed out there, right? That offensive line had nothing for the Texans D. I personally don't see Rodgers coming back. I think that was Rodgers' last game.
Yeah, so I think Aaron Rodgers would only go to an organization that he has a chance to win right away. He's not going to go back to a Jets or a Saints. He's going to go to a team that can win right away. All the teams that can win right away have their quarterbacks. I don't think we'll ever see him again. I think he's a smart guy. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won a Super Bowl. I think he's at times had issues with the media and his teammates, but ultimately he's a smart, all-time great. I don't think he ever plays another game. Like I said, I think if he plays another game, he wants to win. But all the teams that want to win have their quarterback, right? Yeah. So I'm with you. I don't see him playing again. And just to go off what you said, Jaclyn, I mean, yeah, for me, not much older than you, Jaclyn, but a few years older. So I've watched a couple more years of football. To me, one of the best weekends I can remember. That Bears-Packers game, like, I don't know what game you want to talk about, but to me, that was the best of the weekend. That game was like
unreal.
It's hard. And by the way, the Bears-Packers just played an absolute barn burner like a few weeks ago, and now they play probably an even better game. That was like I don't even like. It's hard to describe how magical that second half was. Unbelievable. Not magical if you're a Packers fan. If you're a Packers fan, miserable. But I mean, if you're just a fan like me and you who have no skin in the game, unbelievable.
It was something special. Caleb Williams, like, I've talked negatively on him of what he kind of player he is. I saw something really special on that fourth down. His throw to Rome Odunze. That is not something you see often. Of being that clutch in your first ever playoff game. It's just your second year in the NFL, playing at home in Chicago against your rivals. Coming back, being down, 21-3 at one point of some sort?
21-3.
Winning that game? Are you serious? With your new coach, rookies, you name it. That was legit stuff, and what a game we saw.
It was incredible. I was at a bar or restaurant with a buddy, and it was getting out of hand. But he wanted the Bears swim because he had some sort of parlay. And
Yeah.
I was like, you never know, man. We've seen such a crazy weekend, and then we ended up going to a buddy's place, and like, it was total madness, right? I mean, it
Yeah.
was back and forth. The Packers wide right? They have a huge field goal, a must-hit field goal that they miss. I mean, it had the game
Mhm.
had a little bit of everything, right? Kickers missing field goals, touchdowns, big fourth down
Yep.
conversions. It really had everything. It was unbelievable. Caleb Williams really showed like I'm here and I'm here to stay. It's one thing to do in the regular season, another thing to do it in the playoffs versus your rivals. I mean,
Yeah.
unbelievable. And by the way, Jockey, there was four unbelievable games, so we're not talking one. We can talk
Yeah.
about the Bills game. We can talk about a bunch of the games. They were all great.
Rams, Panthers, like
Oh my
Niners,
god,
Eagles,
amazing.
man.
Yeah.
Like unreal games. Um, Great weekend of wildcard football. I wanted before we get into the Kyle Tucker Blue Jays stuff,
Sure.
want to do a little bit of preview for this upcoming weekend.
Sure.
So we're filming this Thursday night, Thursday late afternoon. Saturday we have so for the divisional round we have Bills Broncos. I'm going Bills in this game.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
staying hot on them.
Yeah, I like it. Like we didn't talk about it too much, but obviously the Bills Jags was an amazing game. Josh Allen looked
Fantastic. Yeah.
fantastic. He got hurt like three or four times. I think an
In like the
ankle.
first quarter, the first
Yeah,
half.
hurt his hand, his ankle, and
Yeah.
his head. So he was a little bit, of a
Yeah.
wreck, but still played amazing. Um,
Yeah.
I remember when we were doing last predictions, I was like having a hard time with Bills Jags, and fairly
Yeah.
so because it was such a close game as we saw. Um, I'm gonna go Bills. Look, I think the Broncos are great. I think if you want to talk about defenses, Jaclyn, it's Texans and then Broncos. My opinion, Texans
Yeah.
first, Broncos second. Um, I think the Broncos will give Allen a hard time, and the Bills' defense, as we saw, is really not great. Their run defense is awful. The Bills' run defense is Swiss cheese. But here's the thing: I don't believe in Bo Nix. Bottom line, I don't believe in Bo Nix. Um, I'm gonna go Bills in a really close game. I'm gonna say Bills
Yeah.
win. I'm gonna say Bills win 32-31 in an absolute barn burner.
Ooh.
32-31.
Got you. Listen, I see a similar thing as well. Yeah, high scoring game. Even against that scary defense, Josh Allen comes alive in these moments. James Cook is also having a fantastic season, arguably the best running back in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Bills high scoring game. I don't know if I have a specific score to give, maybe 27-24 or even what you said in the 30s. Then we have Saturday night Niners Seahawks. Niners somehow pulled it off against the defending champs, the Eagles. George Kittle's out, unfortunately. That entire Niners defense, defense, offense, you name it, injured to the max. Seahawks have a fantastic defense. The last time they played a few weeks ago, the Seahawks won 13-3 against the Niners. I think the Seahawks will win, but I think the Niners are going to be a little bit better than what people expected. The spread right now is 7.5 Seahawks. Like, people do not think the Niners really have a chance to keep this tight. I'm going to say Seahawks, but I think the Niners can make it real interesting.
I think, like you said, Kittle's a really big loss, Jaclyn.
Yeah.
I don't know if I believe in either of these teams to win the Super Bowl. The Seahawks also known to have a pretty stout, good defense. I struggle with this one. It's a great rivalry matchup. You gotta love it. I'm gonna go Seahawks. Just a lot of injuries in the Niners team. I'll go Seahawks. Probably close. I could see like a 2017, like a, like
Yeah.
something like that.
Maybe
2014.
even lower.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, not to like go backwards, but like even my Bills prediction, I'm realizing is a little crazy because like Allen puts up 32 points. I'm not going to change it, but like him putting up 32 points against the Broncos defense would be pretty amazing. I still am going Bills. I'm thinking my prediction might have been a little bit high there, but yeah, to stay on track, I'll go. Well, let's go Seahawks 2014.
Okay. Texans Patriots. So we have your Super Bowl champion prediction, the Houston Texans against the Patriots, who honestly didn't look good against the Chargers. Drake May had a terrible game, but the Chargers were just so bad, so it didn't mean anything. I think this is gonna be really interesting. You know what? I'm gonna pick the underdog. I'm going Texans in this game. I think they're gonna rattle Drake May. I think Drake May is a much better quarterback than what he was this past weekend. However, this defense is legit. I'm going Texans defense is gonna win them the game because CJ Stroud also had a bad game, but this Texans defense is better than I think any offense in the NFL. I know the Patriots have been hot. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going Texans in this one. Tight game though. I'm gonna go like a 21 to 17 kind of thing.
This is what I'll say, Jaclyn. I think the Broncos defense will give Josh Allen fits. If the Bills can solve the Broncos, I think the Texans are going to give him nightmares. I'm not saying they can't beat the Texans, but I could see the Texans giving the Bills absolute nightmares. I actually feel a little bit differently than you. I am going Texans for sure. That Texans defense destroyed Pittsburgh, destroyed Aaron Rodgers, 2 pick sixes, I believe, or maybe a fumble six and a pick six. I think Drake May in the Patriots were bad against the Chargers. They were not looking good. He didn't play great. I think that continues. I think it's like a 21-7. I actually don't think that they stand much chance. They didn't look good against the Chargers.
Wow.
Look, if they didn't look good against the Chargers, Jaclyn, they're not going to look good against the Texans. I'm going to go
Yeah.
21-7 Texans. I think that defense is going to give
Wow.
Drake May nightmares, and they're going to just stomp all over him. Yeah,
Wow. I listen. I love the pick. I do. I
yeah.
respect the pick. The thought of seeing Drake May on the Patriots score one touchdown is shocking to hear. But listen, you never know, right? You never know.
I
And then yeah,
I was just saying, I think they look bad against the Chargers, so I think they're going to look worse
yeah,
against the
they,
Texans. So
yeah. And then to end off divisional weekend, we have Rams at Bears, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The Rams are obviously favored in this. Um, I know I had Rams going to the Super Bowl because I think on the podcast I picked Rams winning it. I then changed it to Bills when I posted because I made a bracket. Um, I think Bears are going to win this game. I think Bears are going to win this game. They are at home at night. It's going to be freezing cold. Stafford is used to playing indoors. And listen, they've been great in cold places. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they can't play in cold places. I think the Bears are going to win this in a tight game. The winner will be the field goal kick, 24-21 Bears.
I love that prediction. I really love it. Look, when you actually first said it, Jonathan, my first thought was like Bears are going to win, and then I sort of just had a moment to rewire my brain to think, and I'm going to go with the Rams, and simply for one reason, Jaclyn. I think the moment's too bright for Caleb Williams. I know he's a great quarterback. I know he had a great comeback. I think the moment's a little too bright for him. You're going up against Super Bowl champion, possible 2026 MVP Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. I just think the moment's too bright for the Bears, and I see the Rams winning this game. Tight game. I think the Rams are going to play much better than they did against the Panthers. Much, much better. I don't know if I have a score prediction for this one, Jaclyn, but I just think the moment's too much. I'm going to go Rams in this game.
Yeah. Listen, that's a fair pick because it's true. This is a winner goes to the conference championship game. You know, like
Yeah,
this isn't just wild card weekend anymore.
yeah.
The Rams have been here. Sean McVay has been here. Stafford, that whole team. The Bears are new. They're young. They're hungry and they're at home. Obviously, the Rams are probably the smarter pick if you're putting money on this game. But I'm just gonna say Bears because I think it's gonna be one of those wow, I hope you didn't miss this,
Sure.
shock the world kind of game. But yeah, great weekend ahead of us. Another can't wait for football. Gotta talk a little bit about baseball. Uh, Obviously we're in the off season, free agency. Jays are the hottest team right now to sign guys. We're waiting on Bo. We're waiting on Kyle Tucker. Lots and lots and lots of reports have been coming out today and yesterday about Kyle Tucker finalizing a deal today or tomorrow. There are lots of talks that Tucker will be a Blue Jay. Looks like it's between the Mets, the Dodgers, and the Jays. I don't want to get too excited because it's not done. It's not official. He hasn't signed anywhere yet. But I have a really good feeling that Kyle Tucker is going to be a Blue Jay tonight.
Yeah, I wish I shared your optimism, Jacqueline, but let's go with the theme. Our usual theme of the Jays is your positive, I'm negative. I actually don't. I've seen a lot of mixed reports. I've seen possibly Mets, Dodgers. I don't know. I just feel like when there's a really big player, the Jays somehow find a way to miss out. Now, we haven't seen the Jays make a World Series and come an inch away from winning, so that might tip the edge where guys now start coming here. I'm not so sure. I would love to see him sign with us. It'd make me so happy. It's someone we need. It would be a guy who could take us over the edge possibly next year, to winning a championship. Like I've previously said, I expect George Springer will be worse next year. I don't expect the same George. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I just don't expect the same production. So we need to load up the lineup so that we have guys who can hit the extra 5 to 10 that he might not hit next year, or hit the average that he might not make next year. So I think it's important. The one thing I'll say, Jaclyn, is if we don't get Tucker and we don't get Bichette, it's a failure of an offseason. I know we've had a good offseason. In my opinion, Jaclyn, if you don't get one, it's a failure of an offseason. You need that guy. Listen, some people are like, we're going to get both. We're getting both. I'm like, no, don't be delusional. We're not getting both. But if we don't get one of them, Jaclyn, I truly believe it's a failure of an offseason for the Blue Jays.
I'm going to have to agree with you 100% because, listen, we have been making great moves, but we need that really big bat. And if it's not Bo, it better be Kyle. If it's not Kyle, it better be Bo. If it's both of them, fantastic. If it's neither of them, failure. Listen, it's hard to get excited. It's hard to, have these. Listen, the Jays fans are traumatized from the Shohei Ohtani's on the plane coming to Toronto, and he wasn't. Like, we've been through this. However, Jeff Passan reported that the Blue Jays have really been the only team that has shown the willingness to go as deep as 10 years for Tucker. I'm quoting that from Jeff Passan, MLB Insider. If Kyle Tucker is looking for one of those long-term deals, as a lot of players like, because it's security,
of course,
why not come here? Right?
Listen.
You have that security. As long as 10 years, Jeff Passan reported. So that changes things.
There's not much reason not to love Toronto, right? We got good pitching, great lineup. Everything is really good. I actually think last year is as bad as the year as Vladdy's going to have. He'll hit more home runs next year. As much as I think Springer's going to go from here to here, I think Vladdy's going to go from here to there, right? The average should still be there, maybe even better. He should be hitting 30-plus home runs. There's a lot to love about this team. We got good pitching. We just have a great group overall, a tight-knit group. So, I mean, if Tucker's going anywhere, why not Toronto? Like, the only reason I could think is like, he doesn't want to maybe be in Canada. You have to move from the States to Canada. It's not so much of a reason, but it could be a small minor thing where it's like, hey, LA is great weather. You're in America, right? The pinnacle of sports, whatever. But really, there's not much downside to coming to the Blue Jays. And look, that could make a difference. If LA says 7 years or 8 years and we say 10 years, he might say, you know what? Let me go with 10 years, right?
Yeah. And we have, it's also the friendship. And I know I've been clowned for saying that, we're winning games through the power of friendship. But it's a real thing being in a clubhouse and really having that bond between every guy. And I believe he's really good friends with Miles Straw to begin with. So that adds one portion, right? Miles Straw is also known as the glue of this team in the clubhouse, right? These are great guys that this team has. And you have to think about also your family and who you're introducing to your wives and kids. All the wives are besties on this team, right? We've seen it. They travel together. They take all these pictures together. They clearly they love each other, right? You have to put that when you think about where you want to spend the next 10 plus years, right? Also, remember, this is summertime. Toronto in the summertime. There's no better place to be.
Yeah,
than Toronto in the summer.
Let me push back on a couple of things here, Jaclyn. I got to push back because you're too optimistic. I'm going to say a couple of things. New York in the summer is unbelievable. Like let's just be real. New York in the summer is unbelievable.
It gets too hot in New York.
Yeah, but if I'm being real, it is a great place to be. And also LA in the summer, also unbelievable. LA is like a great LA, high taxes. Some stuff there that's not great. They've had issues since COVID, but whatever. I mean, LA is still a great place to be in the summer. And let me say another thing. Jaclyn, love it. I've seen the stuff with the wives. I agree. The truth is, I'm sure the wives have a great time in LA and in New York. So I don't know if that is such a big thing. I will say something that's a little more valid. Not to hate on it. I'm sure the wives love each other, and that warms my heart. I'm happy for them. But this is something that is valid if we're talking about camaraderie and friendship here. I'll tell you this, Jaclyn. I saw a quote, or I think it was a video I saw on YouTube of commentators talking. They said, look, you don't find out who has your back or who's your best friend or who's there for you when you're spraying champagne. It's really easy to be happy and to have good times when you're about to win the World Series, when you're AL East champions. It's really easy to love everyone. You find out who has your back and who's there for you when you're in a slump, when you haven't hit a home run in 15 games, when you've lost 6 straight. The one thing I'll say about this team is it really feels like they have each other's backs. Whether it's a slump, whether it's in good times, that's the one thing I'll say is forget about all the little things, the weather, the lives, whatever. I truly believe we have a team here, Jaclyn, that they can lose 7 straight games, and these guys will have each other's back. They're not going to throw each other under the bus. They're not going to ask to be traded. They'll stick out through the hard times, and that's what you want. You want to have teammates who are there for you, right? You have a bad game. It's okay, man. We got you this game. You'll be there for us next game. So if the Jays next year go on a 6-game slide, a 5-game slide, a 7-game slide, I truly believe these guys love each other and they have each other's backs. And that is something you want if you're someone going to a team. When you can go into a clubhouse that's united, that is together, and you know that the guys will be there for you, whether you're doing great or whether you're having a bad streak. And that's important for a guy like Kyle Tucker.
100% agreed, because we saw that with Vladdy. Vladdy was in a slump a lot of last season, yet you will still see him smiling in the dugout. You will still see him every game after a win pouring the Gatorade on the star player. Not only are they there for him, but he is there for you. And a lot of guys will be to themselves when they're in a slump. They can't deal with other people. They're having a hard time celebrating other people's accomplishments. Right? We see that in life every day. But Vladdy, who is the leader of this team, doesn't allow that to affect him ever and affect his team. He's not playing well, doesn't matter, we're winning, or even when we're losing, he's making jokes, he's bringing the energy up. Who doesn't want to be a part of that? This is not a selfish team. You don't see these guys complaining when they're taken out, like a Davis Schneider's taken out for Nathan Lucas because whatever. They're so supportive of one another. Pitchers are supportive of one another, right? Look at Chris Bassett. He gets freaking demoted to be a reliever, and he was so thankful for every opportunity he got. He was so happy for every win. I hope Bassett's back as a reliever. I know he wants the starting money, and that's fine. I understand that. But we saw that all of last year. And then losing the World Series, of how much that meant, not just because they lost for the team. They didn't get to be with each other anymore. They didn't get to celebrate with their teammates anymore. It was the off season. That was what they were upset about the most, was that the season was over. It's just sad. They were just sad about that. And that's what makes this team different than other teams.
Yeah, Jaclyn, I'm with you. Like it's a special team. They're there for each other. The Jays, they have a really good shot at making the playoffs again next year. And listen, I mean, it's to take it to football a little bit. Like you always see in football, they have those huddles, and you have a guy in the middle, and he's like giving a great speech and getting the boys fired up. And like, while it's not like that necessarily in baseball, it's like you feel like Vladdy's that guy. Like Vladdy, he's dumping the Gatorade. It doesn't matter, right? He hasn't hit a home run in 7 games. He's dumping the Gatorade on Schneider. He's dumping the Gatorade on Springer, right? Or whoever it might be. So I'm with you. We have leadership. We really have a great team, and I think a guy like Tucker can take us over the top. Hope we get it done. Like it seems like it's going to be finalized today or tomorrow. Let's keep our fingers crossed, Jaclyn, and pray to the baseball gods that Kyle Tucker is a new Toronto Blue Jay.
Yeah, listen, I'm just refreshing Twitter all day, every day now, like from today till whenever it happens, waiting for this news. That's going to do it for this episode. We got a lot of stuff. Like, it's a fun time in sports right now. Listen, I feel like I say that every month, but it's sports. It's great. Wildcard weekend, basketball and hockey is exciting. Tonight, the Leafs play the Vegas Golden Knights, and we're going to see the Leafs play against Marner for the first time since being traded or practically leaving. I know this game's in Vegas, so it doesn't have that same kind of vibe as it would be in Toronto. However, the weather is terrible outside, so maybe it's better that people are not going out to games or anything. But that's exciting. Wildcard weekend just finished. We have divisional round coming up. Basketball's in a fun place. The Raptors are so great. I know we didn't even talk about that, but that's a whole other story. Kyle Lowry played potentially his last game ever in Toronto, a part of when he was with Philly. So that was exciting. And then, baseball. We may be getting Kyle Tucker. He may not be coming here. We don't know, but exciting stuff. So, Owen, thank you for joining me and talking all the sports today, man.
Jaclyn, thank you so much. Go Giants, go Habs, and go Kyle Tucker.
Go Giants, baby. Go Jays. Go Raptors. Go Leafs, kind of. You know me. I still like the Rangers a little bit. Leafs fan, sure. You know what? Go Team Canada.
Go
Olympics
Team
coming
Canada.
up in a
Go Nick
couple weeks,
Suzuki. Go
right?
Nick Suzuki.
Come on. Yeah. You got your boy. You got your
Yeah.
man on that team. Anyways, thank you
Yeah.
all for watching. Hopefully Kyle Tucker signs with us soon. And I will see you guys next time. Peace.